Ability of the Planning Commission to consider and make recommendations on land use and zoning matters. Actions taken tonight on conditional use permits are final unless appealed to the City Council in writing within 5 days, and any actions taken tonight on initial development plans, alternative plans, or minor amendments are final. Any recommendations made on preliminary subdivision plan requests tonight will be referred to the City Council for final action at the third council meeting of this month, or at the first council meeting of the next month if associated with a rezoning or major amendment. Any recommendations made on rezoning requests, major amendments, future land use amendments, or ordinance amendments tonight will be referred to the City Council for final action at the first council meeting of next month. Council meetings are held the first 3 Tuesdays at 7 p.m. here in the Carnegie Town Hall and are televised. The Planning Commission will first approve the consent agenda and then the regular agenda. In order to place certain non-controversial items on the Commission's consent agenda, Planning staff and the Planning Commission apply the following criteria. First, the request conforms with the Sioux Falls 2040 Comprehensive Plan. Second, Planning staff recommends approval of the request. Third, there are no audience members present or written comments received in opposition to the request. And fourth, the application meets all conditions and requirements of the Sioux Falls zoning ordinance. By approving the consent agenda, the Commission is approving the items on consent. Therefore, upon approval of the agenda, those members of the public in attendance for those items are free to leave. For the regular agenda, the following normal public hearing procedure will be followed for each item. By first requesting planning staff to present a brief report on that item. Second, the petitioner or a representative will be requested to come forward to make a statement or answer questions. After the petitioner has spoken, anyone from the audience who wishes to address the agenda item shall be recognized. Then the Planning Commission will discuss the matter further and take appropriate action. We ask that anyone addressing the Planning Commission move to the podium microphone to identify themselves for the record. Please limit your comments to less than 5 minutes and focus on new testimony not already presented. As a courtesy to everyone here tonight, we ask that you please either turn off or silence your electronic devices. This meeting is being televised on CityLink and will be rebroadcast Saturday at 10 a.m. Good evening and welcome to Carnegie Town Hall. I call this meeting of the Sioux Falls Planning Commission to order. I would like to emphasize a couple of items you heard in the video. Out of courtesy for everyone, please silence your electronic devices. We look forward to hearing the testimony of everybody here who would like to speak. So in an effort to have sufficient time to hear everyone, we ask that you please move to the microphone when your turn is ready and state your name and address for our record. And limit your comments to 5 minutes and allow us to hear everyone to speak that would like to speak. At this time, we will consider the consent agenda. Denise, please read the items on the consent.
Yes, Mr. Chair. Item 1, approval of October 3rd, 2018 minutes of regular meeting. Item 2, October plats. Item 3, 9430-2018, rezoned from the RT1 single-family residential traditional, RT2 townhome residential traditional, and RA1 apartment residential low-density districts to the S1 general institutional district for allowed forms located at southeast corner of North Sherman Avenue and East Austin Street. Item 4, 9457-2018, rezoned from the RS single-family residential suburban district to the RT2 townhome residential traditional district for allowed forms located at 121 and 123 South Menlo Avenue. Item 5, 9477-2018, rezoned from the Recreation District to the C2 Commercial Neighborhood and Streetcar District for allowed forms located at the northeast corner of East 26th Street and South Highline Avenue.
Thank you. Jason.
Jason Bieber, representing Planning and Development Services. We did have a request from a citizen in the audience to move item number 3 from the consent agenda to the regular agenda. And then we also received an email request from the applicant to withdraw item number 4.
Okay, thank you. Is there anyone in the audience who would like to speak to one of the items on the consent agenda that is not item 3 or 4? Okay, seeing none, entertain a motion.
Mr. Chair, I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
Okay,
Mr. Chair, I'll make a motion to amend the consent agenda to move item 3 to the regular agenda and to withdraw item 4.
And I'll second that one.
okay, thank you. All those in favor of the amendment signify by saying yes.
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 All opposed? No. Motion carries. And now for the main motion, moving number 3 to the regular agenda and number 4 withdrawn. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying yes.
Yes.
All those opposed, no. Motion carries. Thank you. If your item was on the consent agenda but is not that item number 3 that's been moved, you're free to leave if you'd like. Next are our items on the regular agenda. And I'd entertain a motion for approving the regular agenda.
Mr. Chair, I'll make a motion to approve the regular agenda.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded for the regular agenda. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying yes.
Yes.
All of those opposed, no. Motion carries.
Item 3, 9430-2018, rezone from the RT1 Single Family Residential Traditional RT2 Townhome Residential Traditional and RA1 Apartment Residential Low Density Districts to the S1 General Institutional District for allowed forms located at southeast corner of North Sherman Avenue and East Austin Street.
The applicant here is Julie Becker with the St. Francis House. It is located at the southeast corner of East Austin Street and North Sherman Avenue. It's roughly 1.05 acres. The purpose of this rezoning is the applicant, St. Francis House, is looking at constructing a new 2-story building with roughly 30 dwelling rooms for men and 30 dwelling rooms for women. The center portion of the building will contain offices, conferences, and kitchen space. They will be required 15-foot front yard setbacks along East Austin Street and East A Street. The parking will be calculated at 1 space for every 10 beds within the facility. They will be required that level C buffer yard along the north, south, and east property lines. That buffer yard would require a 30-foot setback, 15 feet when adjacent to the streets, a 4-foot berm or 6-foot fence, and 40 units of landscaping per 100 lineal feet. The applicant will also need to come back in front of you for a conditional use permit for the temporary shelter that will be constructed on the lot. The proposed zoning does meet the Sioux Falls Comprehensive Plan. The proposed S1 General Institutional Zoning District should provide that good transition from the North Cliff Avenue, the arterial street, to the existing neighborhood to the south and east. Further, those required buffer yards, as I had indicated before, should help alleviate some of the incompatibilities between the proposed building and the existing single-family residential neighborhood. If this rezoning of the property is approved, the applicant can construct a 2-story building similar to the one here in the concept plan. If the rezoning is denied, the parcels will continue to be zoned RT1, RT2, and RA1 and allow single-family residential and townhome residential uses. Because the subject application is consistent with the Sioux Falls Comprehensive Plan and the required buffer yards should alleviate any incompatibilities between the uses, staff does recommend approval of this rezoning. And I'd be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Okay, thank you, Jason. Any questions from the commission?
Mr. Chair? Jason, so just to make sure everybody's clear here, I think we're talking about the rezoning of the land to make it S1 institutional. When it comes time for them to build the building, they'll have to come back for a conditional use permit, and that's when things related to the building would be discussed. We're talking about the land tonight, correct?
Yep, that's when we would get better idea of what's going to be constructed in parking and the look of the building.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, and any other questions? Okay, seeing none. Is the applicant here this evening? Please come forward, state your name and address for the record, please.
Good evening, I'm Julie Becker, the Executive Director of the St. Francis House. My work address, of course, is 1301 East Austin, home address 4308 South Lewis Avenue here in Sioux Falls. So I'm here tonight. We have the St. Francis House has been in our community for over 31 years, and I have been the director for 14 years, living in that neighborhood and working with the neighbors that we have there. We had our neighborhood meeting last week. We had a low attendance. We sent out over 88 invites for people to come, and we have communicated with the neighbors who are on our block there that we have been working with when we're building this project. We've also been working to the west with Our Lady of Guadalupe, which is of course still under the Catholic Diocese as well, and for us to be able to move forward. The main reason for this is our original building was built in 1956 for 12 Benedictine sisters who taught across the street at Little Flower. Currently today, I have 52 people in that building. And over just my 14 years of 300 plus people going through there every year, the building is aged, it's tired, and we need to get it replaced. And in order to us best do that, we went through a feasibility study, and then through that, we came up with this plan to be able to meet our need in our community by serving more people, as well as meeting the need within our agency. So I open to any questions that anybody may have.
Okay. Any questions from the commission? Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Is there anyone in the audience who would like to speak to this item number 3? Come forward, state your name and address for the record.
First, I'll apologize for having my hat. The overhead light gives me a headache. Okay, too many years working factory work. So, my name is Ron Brandwright. I live at 1409 South Coates Road. We own the house across from the shelter on. It'd be the northwest corner of Sherman there. It's 302 North Sherman. We've had this house probably 11 years. I honestly believe that the city made a mistake allowing them to ever build the shelter in this location. My wife is an RN. Many times when she was working shift work, she would be woke up by the sound of car doors slamming, which goes on from 6 in the morning. The last person, I believe, has to be in at 10 o'clock. So you hear car doors slam, and then they want to add another 60 people staying there. You get used to your driveway being blocked because people don't think anything. They're dropping someone off. They think nothing of parking across your driveway. It's not something I don't think you people would be very happy to enjoy. One thing, you do get exercise because you get to pick up the trash, empty pop cans and empty sacks from people getting sack lunches from the shelter, and they discard what they don't want as they're walking back wherever they came from. So you get exercise, you get to pick up the trash. You also get to clean up the vomit where people maybe will throw up in your driveway, or cigarette butts, because I don't believe they can smoke in the shelter. So they're surely not going to take that cigarette with them. They just discard it when they get out of the vehicle they're riding in. I think when something like this is in a neighborhood, it should be an asset and that should not be a liability. If someone is to tell you having one of these is an asset, don't believe them, because they're not telling you the truth. There's been simple times I tried to request help from the people. One's very simple thing. There were 2 guys standing outside. We got a good snowfall. I asked them, $20 guys, shovel the sidewalk. I got the shovel. No, we already worked today. If you are led to believe that these people are just dying to have a job, once again, I think you're being misled. I wish I could tell you good things about it, but I simply can't think of good things. There's times when we couldn't park on our side, so I had my vehicle and trailer attached. I parked on the shelter side of the street. And the same person that is up here 2 minutes ago, they told me, we really would appreciate if you wouldn't park on our side of the street. I've been a homeowner since 1973. I never had any of my neighbors tell me they'd appreciate if I didn't park on their side of the street. I can't in any way, other than just telling you my own experiences, if I were to tell you, do I wish we had never bought this house? 100%. It's not a good experience having a house across. I think the fact that they house prisoners there is not something that that the Planning Commission ever planned on. So if they have a shortage of space, one suggestion I would have is to quit housing prisoners there. I measured, it's less than 2/10 up to the school to the east. And yes, sometimes they do have people there at the shelter that have children. But I think if they wanted to house prisoners, there's land up by the prison. They could build it up there, and they wouldn't have much problems with neighbors. I just come to you as a homeowner, as a father, as a grandpa who cares about children. When I walk our 2 dogs, I try to pick up 3 pieces of trash every day. So picking up trash to me is nothing below me. I do this. I do this for my grandkids. I do it for your grandkids. But they're going to put another 60 people there. There's a lot of congestion with the school and the church there, the Lady of Guadalupe church there in school already. I think if you have been down there and you see it on a Sunday or on a Saturday night, there's a lot of traffic there already. And then you want to bring another 60 cars into this little neighborhood. I think somehow if you pass this, you're cheating all of the homeowners out of their peace and quiet and what they pay their taxes for. I would say thank you. I know you all care. And that's something I say quite honestly. You don't know me, but if I didn't think you cared, I would tell you I don't think you care. But I do think you care. This is real work, what you guys do. So thank you for your time.
Thank you for your comments. Is there anyone else who would like to speak to this item? Please come forward, state your name and address for the record.
My name is Rhonda Hrushka, and I live at 315 North Van Epps and also own a house at 313. And so I'm right at the adjacent block of the St. Francis house. I've lived there since 1993, so about 25 years now. When I first moved into the community, it was just small homes. There was a St. Francis house there. I didn't know really what it was for. Not really many problems. A lot of an older type of community area, small single-family homes, and felt very comfortable. As time went on, I would say probably specifically in the last, maybe 5 years or so to 7 years, there's just, again, I walk my dogs at night, and the gentleman that was just up here, I go past his house every day. I don't know him that well, but the traffic is horrendous on Austin Street, on Sherman, coming up Van Epps. It's horrible. I know exactly what the guy is talking about because of you can't park anywhere if you wanted to park on Austin. It's just there's constant people coming and going. But one of my biggest concerns is I will not walk alone at dark around my neighborhood without my dogs, because I'm always walking my dogs consistently around that area. And I have seen so much increased people that scare me very much so around that area. And I think that has just been developing more and more. And when I looked into it, I didn't realize that St. Francis also bought the houses on Sherman between Austin and 8th, and also a few houses on 8th Street between Sherman and Van Epps. So they keep building up and building up. And I feel like this community is not just for homeless people and to expand their mission as a charity or whatever. It's also for people in my family to feel safe there and feel like I bought a home in a residential community, and what I bought at the time was comfortable, but now it's starting to develop into more homeless, more shelter type of areas. And I know what he means about the litter. There's liquor bottles all over. And also St. Francis House doesn't always take the people that they take in. There's also people that they turn away. And guess where those people stay? It's in our neighborhood. I have called the police many times. I feel like they know my name, my number by now. People hanging out on corners, just loitering. You'll see a car parked maybe a block and a half away, then they'll meet up. I feel there's drug deals going down in the neighborhood, people drunk in the neighborhood. Again, the liquor bottles, the trash that gets thrown around, I'm not happy. If they want to have if they want an institution like this, it should be placed in an institutional area where there's other buildings, office buildings, whatever S1 is. I don't know what that is, but it doesn't belong in a residential area. It doesn't belong to especially expand in a residential area. I guess that's all I have to say, except that my biggest concerns are very much the fear of walking in that neighborhood at night. And I believe that that type of stuff brings that type of element into the neighborhood. And I guess that's all I have to say. So
Okay. Thank you.
I wish it would be relocated somewhere else.
Okay. Thank you. Are there any questions from the commission? Okay. Thank you. Is there anyone else in the audience who would like to speak to this item? Please come forward, state your name and address for the record.
I'm Cynthia Reefer. I live at 1312 East A Street. Can I ask what the circle thing is?
Jason, are you familiar with that?
Yeah, I believe that they are looking at down the line vacating North Sherman Avenue, and then that would be parking, and that would be kind of the circle drive to be able to go to the north and the south. They'd have a little thing in the middle that kind of separates traffic.
Okay, thank you. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, I would just also like to say that it's very dark in that neighborhood. I've tried to cross 8th on Van Epps, and I honestly can't see people who are wearing dark clothes, and I almost hit somebody one day. So I think a little lighting would help the neighborhood greatly.
Okay, good comments. We'll be sure that gets passed over to the city. Any other comments from the audience on this item number 3? Okay, hearing none, and entertain commission action.
Mr. Chair, I'll make a motion to approve item number 3.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve item number 3. Is there any discussion?
Mr. Chair? Jason, can I ask you a question quick? I think there was a question from the audience about S1. Can you talk a little bit about the institutional designation, what goes there, and where other places in the city it can be found?
Sure. S1 is kind of what we utilize for general institutional. That would allow hospitals, schools, apartments, offices, those kind of uses.
Churches?
Yep, churches. Some other areas that we've utilized it at is some of our projects are S1. Churches, several churches, if they're now within a residential neighborhood, they're usually zoned S1 also.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay.
Mr. Chair, some comments. So I am going to support this one. I appreciate the neighbors and their thoughts and concerns. I think I heard parking and then maybe some security, and I think with a new building, you'll get additional parking and additional security measures that can be placed that wouldn't be in the old building. So I think that should hopefully help alleviate a lot of your concerns. And the other thing is they'll go through a conditional use permit before they can construct anything. That'd be another time to come and talk about what exactly those could be, with lighting, whatever it is, to help alleviate the concerns that you have from what's already going on there. So I do support this one.
Okay. Other discussion?
Mr. Chair, I disagree with Commissioner assertion on this. I agree with it as well. And again, we are a land use board, and that's really what we have to focus on here. And so I'm in agreement with the commissioner and the staff's recommendation.
Okay. Other discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying yes.
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 All opposed, no. Motion carries. Thank you.
Item 6, 9402-2018, conditional use permit for on-sale alcoholic beverage establishment located within 500 feet of sensitive land use located at 1819 South Minnesota Avenue.
The applicant here is Johnny Fuan. It's located at 1819 South Minnesota Avenue in an existing strip center. They are looking at converting the north tenant space of that into a casino. The south tenant space is currently a dance studio. This is an existing arterial corridor, as you know, along Minnesota Avenue that contains several commercial businesses. Staff and the current building tenants do have some concerns about this on-sale alcohol use being, for one, so close to the residential area to the west, two, being close to an elementary school that's to the east across Minnesota Avenue, and also concerns with that existing dance studio where it frequents with young kids and adults. Finally, the public hearing today should also focus on the security management plan that the applicant hopefully has been working with the police department on to try and eliminate some of those concerns of the south tenant, as well as any other testimony from adjacent neighbors and from the dance studio. Staff feels the conditional use permit could be approved or denied by the Planning Commission, depending on the testimony that you'd hear tonight from the applicant as well as the neighbors. And those major concerns would be on the security, parking, lighting, and the soundproofing for the mixing and alcohol use with an existing dance studio. I'd be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Okay, any questions from the commission? Seeing none, thank you, Jason. Is the applicant here this evening? Please come forward, state your name and address for the record.
My name is Johnny Fong.
Okay, anything to add to Jason's summary?
Yeah, I mean, I'm just trying to open a business, to run a business, and I'm gonna follow all the city rules and regulation. Try to do whatever is. I'm sorry, I'm a little bit nervous to stand up here. And
sure, understandable.
It, but I'm going to follow the rules and regulation. And the people who come to the casino doesn't mean that they are bad people. I mean, it's maybe one of us in this room, come to the casino too, and it's just a regular business. And there's all the business right next to the street, just one block away. So I don't think it's going to bring bad people in there.
Okay.
That's it.
Thank you. Are there any questions from the commission? Seeing none, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Is there anyone in the audience who would like to speak to this item number 6? Come forward, state your name and address for the record, please.
Good evening, members of the commission. My name is Stuart Hughes. My address is 1801 South Spring Avenue. And I'm an attorney appearing on behalf of Emily Kennedy and Peyton Jones, who is unable to be here today. They own Releve Dance Studios, which is an adjacent business, and John Piper in the audience today, who owns Piper Custom Framing, also an adjacent business. They're opposed to the grant of this conditional use permit because of the negative impact it will have not only on their business, but the neighborhood and the broader community at large. Releve Studios is a dance studio teaching primarily ballet dance lessons to more than 80 girls under the age of 10. The youngest is just 2 years old. This is a family location. A dance school is a sensitive use under the city's code. We believe it qualifies for the definition of school, in addition to Susan B. Anthony Elementary School, which is just across Minnesota Avenue. In addition to the dance school, the building houses the Sanctuary of Praise Assembly of God Church, which has services on the weekends and as well as Sunday school classes. We believe this is another sensitive use under the city's definition and qualifies for the 500-foot buffer. As I previously mentioned, across the street is Susan B. Anthony Elementary School, and allowing a liquor license or on-site liquor to be served here next to a church and next to two schools, we feel, and my clients feel, will disrupt the family atmosphere of the building and the educational experience of the students, frankly. We believe this is adult-oriented entertainment and should be located in a place where those activities and that entertainment is appropriate. The families who send their children to the dance studio also believe that this casino is potentially a physical threat to the safety of their students, and with good reason to believe that, based on some just very preliminary research. What I've found is that casinos in Sioux Falls are targets for crime, for robberies. Just last year, the Crown Casino right across the street was robbed at gunpoint. A gun was fired. The suspect was accused of robbing two other casinos in the area. That was just last year. Just last month, a casino on 41st Street was robbed at gunpoint. In July of this year, again, a casino on South Sycamore again was robbed at gunpoint. This is 3 robberies within the last year, just what I've been able to find in the last few days or so on Google from newspaper articles. If the proposed casino and bar were located next door to a dance school, which teaches 80 young children, a robbery occurring there would have a devastating impact on not only the business, but on the children and the families. Safety concerns such as this, I believe, are why that 500-foot buffer exists. The gentleman has a right to start a casino and to operate a bar at the casino, but in a more appropriate location, not next to a dance school, a church, and across the street from an elementary school. Not to mention Campus Park, located just to the west, and McKennan to the east. There are better areas for this. But I'm also here on my own behalf. My family and I live at 1801 South Spring Avenue, which is within the 500-foot buffer. Just behind where the casino and bar would be. With my 2 young children, we don't feel that another casino and bar is appropriate for the neighborhood. There's already a casino there that need is adequately served in the community. If anyone wants to gamble or drink, they can already do so. And for that reason, I don't believe that saturation of the neighborhood, of the block, with another establishment like that is appropriate. Myself and Ms. Kennedy, Jones, and Mr. Piper, we're not the only ones who are concerned about this. I have a petition signed by roughly 100 parents of children who currently attend the school, many of whom are in the audience today, and quite frankly would discontinue sending their children to the establishment if on-site liquor were allowed to be served. If this is something you would like to accept for your own review, I can hand that over. With all that being said, on behalf of myself, on behalf of Emily Kennedy, Peyton Jones, John Piper, 100 parents who are opposed to this conditional use permit, I'd ask that the commission deny the conditional use permit. And I also have a letter from a parent who was unable to be here. And with that, I thank you for your time, and that concludes my comments.
Okay, thank you, sir. Any questions from the commission? None? Thank you. Is there anyone else in the audience who would like to speak to this item? Please come forward, state your name and address for the record.
I'm Sarah Tisdall, 1001 East Covey Circle in Sioux Falls, and I just wanted to express my opposal of this conditional use permit for the 1819 South Minnesota Avenue as a parent of two girls who go to the dance school. I have a letter written in support of Emily Kennedy and Peyton Jones that I wanted to read that illustrates the points of my concern. Both of my daughters, ages 8 and 6, are students and take 2 dance classes each week at the studio, and we've been with them since almost the beginning of the opening of the studio. We love the Christian environment and the comfortable setting that they've both worked to create. Our kids feel safe, they feel nurtured, and the studio's move last year to this location at 1821 South Minnesota was really exciting. They found a quiet property, perfectly adequate space for the dancers, the families to observe, and for the studio offices. And as a parent, the 3 main concerns that I have if this permit were to be approved is that smoking is not, obviously in South Dakota, allowed indoors, which means that the casino patrons would need to take their smoking outside. The back parking lot entrance is about 10 to 15 feet away from the entrance to the studio. It's not like across the street, it's literally right next door. And a common issue, I know it's a common issue in casinos, in retail centers, that smoke enters other tenant spaces, and whether you do more HVAC stuff inside still doesn't take away the smoke coming through the physical entry. The door to the studio is open many times during class, and the smoke will enter the studio space. Our preschool and elementary kids who are dancing there and receiving instruction shouldn't have to walk through a cloud of smoke to get to class. Also, the foot traffic of the casino, the patrons are so close to the studio door, and that concerns me. In addition to the loitering of people smoking, there will be an influx of adults, obviously 21 and older, who may or may not be under the influence of alcohol, driving in the already too small parking lot. And then the third point is that parking lot. It is basically a one-way parking lot. 1819 and 1821, I believe, share 7 parking spaces. And Piper is a separate building, which we do sometimes use their parking spaces. If you look up to the north, the huge parking area is Wells Fargo. And as far as I know, they're not offering up their spaces. So 7 parking spots for 2 operators that will have business hours. Basically, their prime business hours will be the evening, I would assume. I don't know much about the casino business, but there just needs to be more parking to accommodate the current use, and then to add another one with the same peak hours of operation just wouldn't work. So basically what we're asking is to oppose this conditional use permit because of our daughters, I think there's one little boy who takes class, but our preschoolers and elementary kids who don't need to go to school for dance next to a casino. So thank you.
Thank you.
Any questions?
Any questions from the commission?
Okay, thanks.
Thank you. Is there anyone else in the audience who would like to speak to this item number 6?
Good evening. My name is Alyssa Scleris. My address is 801 Eagle Run in Del Rapids. And I guess we feel really blessed to have found the Releve studio. And one of the reasons we chose to send my daughter there was because of the wholesome environment, the Christian environment that she brings about in the dance school. And my daughter's there right now in class, along with my 2 sons that are there. They're ages 4, 6, and 8. And my biggest concern is, of course, the alcohol and the smoking that they would be exposed to. Having to explain to them what's going on next door, because obviously as we come and go, they would see things and hear things that I don't want to have to explain to my children, that I'm sure that they would see in that type of environment. The biggest concern is the safety risk. I Googled today the robberies that have taken place in Sioux Falls, and it's a long list of robberies that have happened at casinos. armed robberies. You can see the surveillance video of, the people holding a gun at the casino counter. And I can't imagine if my children were coming or going or just in that environment, if something would happen. It's not something that I think Sioux Falls would benefit from being in a national spotlight if, God forbid, something like that would happen. So, like I said, I feel very blessed to bring my daughter to the dance school, but if that casino would be next door, I think it would play it would change the whole atmosphere, and that safety, that wholesomeness, that environment that we chose this for that reason would be gone, and that would be a great shame for all the families and the kids that really love going to the studio. So thank you for your time.
Thank you. Are there any questions from the commission? Okay, thank you. Is there anyone else in the audience who would like to speak to this item?
Hi, my name is Sonia Oling. I live at 1912 East Briar Den Court. I have 3 young children. 2 of them attend classes at the studio. They're age 9 and 6. They take a combined 4 classes there. I don't have anything new to add. I am just here as opposition to the conditional use permit and mainly opposed to the alcohol and the smoking and the safety issue. Thank you for your time.
Okay, thank you. Any questions from the commission? Okay, thank you. Is there anyone else in the audience who would like to speak to this item number 6?
Hi, my name is Pam Felicia. I live on 1814 South Spring, and I live right behind where the business buildings are, and we lived there for about 20 years, and we don't have problems with those business buildings, and the environment there is good now, and we have some houses like on both sides and then across the street and just around that neighborhood. We have a good neighborhood there, and all the people that live there, they're like older people in infirmity. They're old and some are sick, And in our household, we all work. We work different shifts, and we have an easement driveway, and that's kind of like a private driveway. And so, what they brought up is their parking space. Like, let's just say, if they were to put that business there, they might block my driveway on going to work in the morning, because I work at 6:30 in the morning, and like I said, we work different shifts and all that. So, and my husband works graveyard shifts. So, and we like it the way it is right now, and we oppose to what's going to be put there. And about alcohol and the smoking, we don't smoke, and so right now we don't have trash or anything, but let's just say if they put that there, we might have like trash being thrown, over a fence or whatever. So the area is clean, and we live in a good environment, and so that's all I have to say.
Okay, thank you. Are there any questions from the commission? Okay, thank you. Is there anyone else in the audience who would like to speak to this item number 6?
Hello, I'm John Piper. I have the building next door at 1825 South Minnesota Avenue. I want to clarify, it's not a strip mall, it's 2 separate buildings. If it's a strip mall, somebody needs to tell me, because I've never been informed of that. I oppose it for numerous reasons. I've been there for 14 years now. I would have never considered that location. I'm not here to put a casino down or someone to operate in a business, but it's not appropriate next to what I want to do, what I've been doing for 14 years. I have a number of clients in town that would probably agree with that come into my business on a daily basis. I do a lot of business to business. I oppose having this put in and bringing in crime. Regardless, a casino does that. We've all seen it on the news. You've all witnessed it. I have a problem with where they placed all the zoning notices. They're all on my property. Every one of them, all 4 of them. I think those should have been spread around the neighborhood a lot more. No one ever approached me to advise me that this is what's going to take place next door either. Not the person that's wanting to buy the building, not on the conditional use permit, none of that. I found out all through secondhand. So I strongly oppose you rezoning it for alcohol. I'm here to answer any questions. I have a lot of information if you need it.
Okay, thank you. Is there any other questions from the commission?
Quick question,
sure.
Mr. Chair. So you own the building that's right at West 27th in South Minnesota?
Correct, right on the corner. There are 2 buildings that butt literally up next to each other. They're 2 separate walls. And you can hear noise come through the concrete walls. I don't know if they ever hear me, but I can hear when they play music, and I've never complained, but you do hear it. Now you open a casino up, I don't know what's going to happen. I definitely don't want that entering into my business.
Thank you, Mr. Piper.
Any more questions?
Any more questions? Thank you, sir. Is there anyone else in the audience who would like to speak to this item number 6?
Hi, good evening. My name is Matt Walls. I live at 4401 South Lewis Avenue. I'd like to add a quick me too to what's been said already. I also believe that we've got plenty of saturation of video lottery establishments along Minnesota Avenue. You can't drive 2 or 3 blocks without running into one. Plenty of places to consume alcohol, plenty of places to gamble if you want to do that. Don't know that we need another one at this particular deal. We have 4 children and 2 of them attend the dance school, and we just love it, and the kids love it. The safety concern is big for me as a parent, big. And I'm a big respecter of the business community in Sioux Falls, but I think this is just the wrong location for this type of business. There's already the Crown Casino, 20 seconds from their front door, right across the street to the Crown Casino if somebody wants to walk there. Don't know that we need another one closer. Plenty of saturation, maybe oversaturation already for those establishments. I mean, especially if this is going to adversely affect the other businesses in the area, which it seems that it would. It seems, you've got a choice today about the future of this small part of Sioux Falls. And the choice is about family positive development activities or more gambling and alcohol consumption. So I appreciate your service and thank you for what you do.
Okay, thank you. Is there any other questions from the commission? Okay, is there anyone else who would like to speak to this item number 6? Okay, seeing none, entertain commission action.
Mr. Chair, I'm going to make the following motion emphasizing again that our requirements are that we propose motions in the affirmative. So I'd like to make a motion to approve item number 6 for the purposes of discussion.
I'll second that.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to approve for the purpose of discussion. Any discussion?
Mr. Chair, Jason, would you mind coming back up for just a brief second? With the testimony that's been provided by numerous members of the public, I'm not clear where the studio that was mentioned, the dance studio, is located in comparison to this subject property.
That might be a good question for the applicant. I'm not exactly sure what, I believe that they're going right next to it, but maybe the applicant can really explain it a little bit better.
Very well.
I think the question was, do you know where the dance studio is relative to the proposed casino that you're talking about?
It's next door.
To the south or to the north?
To the south.
To the south.
It's in the same building.
Very good.
Okay.
Well, not exactly the same building as we were, correct?
No, it is. There's two different buildings.
But they're next door to each other.
No.
Sounds like
Mr.
Piper
Piper's
is the one on
building
the
is to
corner.
the south on the corner. There's the building that's highlighted here on your screen. The north half, he's talking about the casino going there. The south half is the dance studio.
Very good.
Okay.
Sorry.
Thank you, sir.
Appreciate the clarity. Thank you.
Any other questions?
Not related to that, no.
Okay.
Mr. Chair, I guess my comment would be this location meets a lot of requirements in terms of it's on a commercial corridor, a lot of compatible uses surrounding it in terms of commercial, but we do have a very obvious incompatibility in the same building, basically right next door. Considering the length of Minnesota Avenue and the volume of commercial that's available, I think there's just going to be a better place for this type of a business to go. And I won't be supporting this particular conditional use.
Okay. Other discussion?
Mr. Chair, and I struggle with this one because I look at a conditional use permit is to provide it's an allowed use with what conditions help make it allowable. And we have the 4 standard ones to the parking, the lighting, the soundproofing, and the security management plan that they'll all have to follow. And I don't know if I heard any other arguments for what makes it allowable other than I don't want it there. And the argument of the dance studio is, I mean, you probably argue back and forth whether that qualifies as a school or not to make it a sensitive use. So like I said, I'm struggling with this one. I think I'm going to support it because, you know, individual property rights do come into play as well. I would say that if it does pass, it can be appealed to the city council, and you can make the case in front of them. Sometimes they take a different view of these things than the planning commission does. As we look at the, you know, the property and specifically what's going on at the property versus some other things. So I guess I do support this one.
Okay. Other discussion?
Mr. Chair, the proximity to Susan B. Anthony is not a real, the distance, because there's a parking lot there also that I don't think that that's really a major thing, but did I hear you say that there's a church in this, in the dance studio also? So it's a multi-use, a dance studio part-time, church also. I struggle with it also, but, and again, I'm having a hard time supporting it because of the use. I know the dance studio probably does not qualify as a school itself, like you were saying, but I have a hard time supporting this one.
Okay, other discussion?
Mr. Chair, the only thing to comment on that is it's commercial. It's zoned commercial. It's not zoned a dance studio, not zoned church, not zoned any other use. It's zoned commercial. So, for what that's worth.
Okay, thank you. Other discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor of approving item number 6, please signify by saying yes.
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 All those opposed, no.
No.
So that's 3 noes, 2 yeses. It is denied.
Item 7, 9426-2018 conditional use permit for on-sale alcoholic beverage establishment located within 500 feet of sensitive land use located at 6101 Southwestern Avenue and 6208 South Pinnacle Place.
Excuse me. The applicant here is looking at constructing a new building, or actually 2 buildings on this vacant lot at the southwest corner of 69th and Western Avenue. One of the tenant spaces within the south building, they're looking at opening up a bar restaurant concept, and that is located within 500 feet of the church. It's just barely The church is barely within the 500 feet zoning, or 500 feet separation distance to the south. The proposed on-sale alcoholic beverage establishment meets the criteria of the comprehensive plan. This is an existing commercial corridor with commercial uses. As you know, there's some bars and restaurants to the north and to the east. Because the application has provided clarity to indicate the location, nature, and extent of the work proposed, staff recommends approval of this conditional use permit, and I'd be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Any questions from the commission? Hearing none, thank you, Jason. Is the applicant here this evening? Come forward, state your name and address for the record.
Raquel Blount, 6208 South Landau Circle. And I'm here on behalf of the ownership group for the Galleria at 69th and Western. We intend to lease space in the building to restaurant use and have the liquor license as an accessory to that business. We did meet with the church to the south and had a great conversation and talked about the commercial use and the businesses in the area, and he indicated to us that he didn't have any concerns about our project and what we were doing. And I'm just here to answer any questions that you might have.
Okay. Any questions from the commission? Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Is there anyone in the audience who would like to speak to this item number 7? Seeing none, entertain commission action.
Motion to approve.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve item number 7. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying yes.
Yes.
Yes. All opposed, no. Motion carries.
Item 8, 9450 2018 conditional use permit for on-sale alcoholic beverage establishment located within 500 feet of sensitive land use, located at 7000 South Lindcrest Place.
The applicant here is Caleb Veldhuis. The applicant is proposing to construct a mixed-use office building, including a medical spa, which will have the alcohol consumption. The proposed building layout includes 2 office spaces, a medical clinic on the first floor, a spa and hotel rooms on the second floor. The site is within that 500 feet of the Bright Eyes Daycare to the south. The proposed on-sale alcoholic beverage establishment meets the criteria of the comprehensive plan. As you know, this is an existing commercial and office corridor, and the actual on-sale alcohol will be such a minor part of the proposed office building and business. Because the application has provided clarity to indicate the nature and location and extent of the work proposed, staff does recommend approval of this conditional use permit. I'd be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Any questions from the commission? Seeing none, thank you, Jason. Is the applicant here this evening? Come forward, state your name and address for the record.
Good evening. I'm Caleb Veldhuis, 3824 South Slayton Park Drive. I represent the ownership group, and we did speak with the Bright Eyes Daycare to the south, and they were okay with our plan and are excited about the development.
Okay, anything to add to Jason's comments?
No.
Okay. Any questions on the commission? Hearing none, thank you. Is there anyone in the audience who would like to speak to this item number 8? Seeing none, entertain commission action.
Motion to approve item 8.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve item number 8. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying yes.
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 All opposed, no. Motion carries. Thank you.
Item 9, public input on non-agenda items.
Is there anyone in the audience who would like to give us some public input on any non-agenda items this evening? Seeing none, we are adjourned.
Make a motion to adjourn.
Second.